So here's my opinion of the first half of the game. So first half, let's focus on Rashford. So first half, Rashford couldn't really, in my opinion, whenever he got the ball on the left, he didn't look like he could control the ball. He was doing that usual thing where he's running into a dead end. He couldn't get behind his man. It's all pretty typical, and he was starting to look like a little bit of a shadow of himself compared to previous games. So there was no running into the middle from the left hand side of the 18-yard box. I think really Betis controlled his first half, and me personally, I think that was 50% Betis and 50% himself. Really, he wasn't quite up to it in the first half. A bit of a shocker for me was that Ten Hag opted to use Maguire instead of Varane. Yes, I know that Varane can't play every game, and Ten Hag will rest him, and he has rested him before. But personally, I thought that was a little bit of a risk. I was never overconfident that Betis couldn't cause a shock or at least score a few goals. But Maguire's presence, anyway, it made a difference to how United approached the first half of that game. Betis were almost kind of at times playing a long ball over the top of him. They were able to play little balls around him, so they were playing to beat his pace because he has none, and his aerial awareness, so his awareness of what's coming in front of him. So if a ball gets put over the top, he's quite easily caught out, especially if he's pressing on, which is it's pretty well known that that's one of Maguire's failures. Ten Hag hopefully will improve him. Rigorous training, coaching the lad. Hopefully, we'll see some improvement. Moving on, the back four, it had three changes. So Malacia at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back, and obviously we've already spoken about Maguire. Wan-Bissaka for me looked in the first half. We're talking solely about the first half. Looked a little bit off pace. So he was bombing forward and often playing a kind of a wayward pass or not linking up well, and then getting caught out and not tracking back quick enough. I saw that multiple times throughout the first half, and even at times he looked like he had no. He just couldn't force himself to run back and get back to a ball that he'd given away. So during that first half period, I was quite frustrated with him. Sorry about that. So as for Malacia had a reasonably good first half. I'd say he was more supported by the fact that we had Rashford would come back and kind of help protect that area of the pitch. But other than that, I think he too looked a little off the pace in the first half. Moved into midfield, and specifically Casemiro. Obviously, he's playing alongside Fred, and because we were sitting back a little, kind of caught between from a defensive point of view, where we sitting back, where we trying to push on, there was a little bit of doubt at times. So Casemiro, I felt Fred wasn't really in the game. I'm not got nothing negative to say about him other than that. I don't feel Fred was really in that game. But I think the pressure was on Casemiro, and Betis were besieging that area of the pitch and popping balls through and outnumbering him. And that enabled them to kind of threaten our 18-yard box quite often during that first half. Going back to Fred, obviously Fred is a presence from a physical. He's a pacey player. He likes to run around, mix things up a little. But I don't think tonight. I just don't think he was effective. Moving a little bit higher up the pitch, we've got Bruno Fernandes. As ever, I mean, he's an ever-present player. I can't remember the last time he didn't start a game. I mean, if you know, please add it to the comments below. But like Casemiro, he's like a talisman of the team at the moment. And like Casemiro also, he had his work cut out for him. I feel for the guy. I mean, how he maintains such work ethic. I mean, he's getting across the pitch. He's trying to support everywhere. A kind of detriment to the quality of his first touch, final ball. I mean, his goal scoring ability that we were seeing a couple of seasons ago is shot. It's gone. But he works hard for the team. He gets a lot of stick from United fans and the press and lots of other places. And I'm not giving him stick. You know what I mean? He's a great player and he's a talisman for the club. But maybe, I mean, if we can next season, in the in the summer transfer window, if we can buy someone that puts his position under a little bit of threat to spur him on a little bit and maybe also enable him to have a rest. I think that's the future of that position. It can't just solely rely on Bruno Fernandes. The guy looks burnt out at times. And obviously, you've been watching games just like me. He become more and more petulant, throwing his arms in the air, rolling around on the ground. We don't want to see United players doing that. Yeah, have passion, but don't be chasing refs. Don't be falling over all the time and looking for free kicks. I mean, that's not what really happened tonight. But it's another game for him. Will he get called up for Portugal during the international break? I don't know. More than likely. I mean, will the lad get a rest? I don't know. But he probably needs one. Now, going on to Palestri, I mean, he's 22 years old. He's young. He hasn't really had a good he hasn't had a good run in the side yet. But tonight, right wing, in front of Wan-Bissaka. And at times you could see the inexperience tell. Lack of tracking back. He, on that area, that kind of like 18-yard back, right side of the 18-yard box, he did look a threat at times. But I think he was lacking a little bit of quality support. He needed someone to tuck in with him and give him options rather than, he's holding the ball up, waiting for somebody to run around him, create some space, give the ball. It was always forced to come inside and play a ball short to somebody who was already being pressed. And as you saw many a time, it led to the likes of Fernandes, Rashford, whoever, just losing the ball at that point. And you also saw that it also led to him a bad touch, which made him chase the ball down. He won the ball. The Betis player fell over him, but ultimately, for whatever reason, the referee thought, we'll give Palestri a yellow card. Never a yellow card. What do you think? I'd never. I mean, Palestri's on the ground. The guy falls over him. That's what I saw. So, yeah, coming to the end of the first half, obviously we had that little period of where we started to press again a little bit. And you could see that the game was going to go the way the first fixture did at Old Trafford. So Betis were kind of having a lot of pressure, creating kind of semi-opportunities, but no clear-cut chances. And then right at the end of the first half, we go and put the ball on the inside the left-hand post, and it bounced almost halfway across the goal before it's cleared, and it's like half-time whistle. Crazy. Well, anyway, second half, straight away, what happens? Rashford misses a chance. All strikers, well, he's not a striker, he's a winger, but all people, goal scorers, they miss chances, so I don't hold that against him. Neither should you, really. I mean, look at what the guy did. I mean, a save from a bullet header, and then a few minutes later, well, 54th minute later, he puts it into Rowe's head, ball through the middle. He's on it, clearing on goal, sky high. Wow. I mean, I was shocked. But, I mean, what are we talking? Roughly 30 seconds later, he puts the ball in the back of the net. So from just outside the 18-yard box, he drills one in, bottom right corner. What a goal. It was absolutely fantastic. So that's putting him on 27 goals for the season. And I think he just broke United's, is it Europa? I think it's Europa League goal scoring record as well. So he hit that talking about that goal to take us 1-0 up on the second tie tonight. If you haven't seen it, he hits it obviously with his right foot on the outside, and the ball swerves away from the keeper. So straight at and away from the keeper. Completely wrong foots the keeper. It was an absolutely excellent goal. And it felt like the goal was coming because United at this point, we were knocking it around a little bit, but and controlling the pace of the game. But ultimately, up until the goal, we had those issues like the first half around the 18-yard box. And to be fair to Betis, they did continue try. They didn't completely drop off as they did in the first leg at Old Trafford. Basically, it was a little bit more of, from them, a bit more of the same, yet with less intensity because we were doing our part as well, like putting the ball through midfield, knocking it out wide, trying to put the ball in the box from the wing. I mean, we get to about the 59th minute, and Ten Hag decides to make changes. So he brings Sabitzer and Sancho on and takes Rashford and Fred off. And that, within a few minutes, Sabitzer's got a chance on goal. So ball gets put through, turns on the ball, strikes it. It's low. It's inside, just outside the 6-yard box. But it's the keeper's leg. So it was a reasonable save. It's straight at him. You'd expect the keeper to save that. It'd be a howler if it had gone through the goalkeeper's legs or anything like that. You'd have heard the pundits saying, Sabitzer shouldn't have scored. The keeper, it's a keep. Blame the keeper. It's never the players in the right place striking the ball. It's always the keeper's fault there. And then on obviously another changes. What was this? 67th minute, Bruno then come off because Bruno was on a yellow card like Casemiro. So we didn't want him, potentially getting another yellow and missing a game. So Bruno came off, Alanga came on. So ultimately, the win tonight means United are on a run. I think it's of 7 away games in Europe without defeat. I think the last defeat, you could go back 18 months to the young boys, which is crazy. I mean, the fact we lost to the young boys is crazy, but we did. And I don't want to forget as well that Sancho, after coming on, had a chance on goal. But again, that hit the keeper's legs. And then ultimately, anyway, it was given offside. But the crazy thing about it was Alanga, if you imagine Sancho's on the right-hand side of the 18-yard box and Alanga's on the left, but Alanga's in the clear. No one's going to get him. So if Sancho just passes the ball to him, he puts it in the back of the net. But ultimately, it would have been offside. But pundits were all saying, "Okay, Sancho, you've been a bit greedy there, trying to get a bit of glory. Really, what you should have done is pass it to your teammate." But no, he didn't do it. So, right. So, what's my opinion of the game overall? I'm happy. I'm really happy. I'm not being overly critical of any of the players. I think Ten Hag did a great management job of the squad and the people, the assets he had available to him. And he has to do that at this stage in the season. I mean, ultimately, I personally think the most important thing is finishing in the top four of the Prem. I talked about that in my earlier video from today. Finishing the top four of the Prem, it's the Champions League. Yes, I know if we win the Europa League, there's a good chance that, if we win the Europa League, we'll be in Europe next season. But we want to do well in both competitions ultimately. And Ten Hag has to do that. We can't prioritise one over the other. And that's the cut and short of it. I will be slightly negative. Wow, Weghorst. I mean, do you think he's stealing a living at United? I mean, the guy's a striker, so a striker scores goals. 2 goals in 16 games. Now, you can say that Ten Hag's playing him in a role which doesn't really require him to score goals because we're getting goals from other players. Rashford, a lot of it. And that Weghorst is kind of like an anchor high up the pitch where he can hold the ball up reasonably well and distribute it. But can he distribute it well? You tell me. Leave us some comments below and smash a like on the video. I'll be back soon.